There's a reason your homegrown carrots come out twisted, forked, and split into strange little legs, while the ones in the shop are arrow straight. It isn't the seed. It isn't your skill. It's the ground itself, and there's a fix so simple that once you see it, you'll stop trusting the ground for half your garden. Because here's the thing almost nobody says out loud. For a lot of vegetables, the open ground is the worst place you can put them. We've all absorbed the same belief. More soil, more space, more room for roots, more food. The garden bed is the real deal, and a pot is the sad compromise you make on a balcony. For a surprising number of crops, that is exactly backwards. A pot isn't less than the ground. It's more controllable than the ground. And control, not space, is what decides how much food you pull off a plant. In a bed, you inherit whatever the soil already is, however it drains, whatever lives in it. In a pot, you decide all of it. Warmer soil, cleaner soil, better drainage, fewer weeds, fewer pests, and the ability to pick the plant up and move it. Here are 7 vegetables that quietly do better under that control than they ever do in the ground. And the first one is the one that started this whole argument. Carrots. Go back to those twisted carrots. A carrot is trying to drive one smooth root straight down. Every rock, every clod of clay, every buried stone is an obstacle it has to fork around, which is why homegrown carrots so often look like little tangled hands. Fill a deep pot with loose, sifted potting mix, and every one of those obstacles disappears. The root drives straight down through soft, even ground and comes out smooth and clean. A container just 12 inches deep is enough for a full crop, and loose mix warms faster than cold spring ground, so the seed germinates quicker too. You trade stony earth for a bucket of perfect soil, and the carrots show it immediately. So the pot fixes the shape of a root crop. The next one, it fixes the timing of the whole plant. Lettuce. Lettuce has one great enemy, and it's heat. The moment the soil gets too warm, lettuce bolts. It shoots up a flower stalk, turns bitter, and the harvest is over. Sometimes weeks earlier than you wanted. In a bed, you can't do a thing about that. The lettuce takes whatever the afternoon sun delivers. In a pot, you pick it up and walk it into the shade for the hottest part of the day, and that one move can stretch the harvest by weeks. And because the slugs and snails that shred lettuce work at ground level, lifting the plant onto a bench leaves them locked out underneath. Cleaner leaves, longer season, from nothing more than being able to move the pot. Mobility fixes lettuce. The next crop is fixed by a warm pot before the season has even really started. Radishes. Radishes are the fastest reward in the garden, and containers make them faster. In loose mix that warms early, a radish can go from seed to harvest in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. They hate compacted ground, which produces small, woody, splitting roots, and they hate weeds crowding them during that quick sprint. A pot solves both. Loose soil to swell into, almost no weeds to fight. For a beginner or an impatient one, nothing pays off this fast. Now for one that genuinely surprises people, because here the pot doesn't just make the plant cleaner or faster, it makes it more productive. Peppers. You'd think a pepper wants all the root room it can get. It doesn't. Peppers crop better with their roots slightly restricted. Give one a huge open bed and it often pours its energy into big leafy growth and goes lazy on the actual peppers. Confine those roots in a container and the plant flips its priorities, putting the energy into fruit instead of foliage. Stack the pepper's other love on top of that. Heat. Peppers are a warm weather crop, and a container warms up faster and stays warmer than cold garden soil, which means earlier flowering and heavier production, especially anywhere with a cool spring. A single well-kept plant in a pot can hand you dozens of peppers in a season. Restricted roots and warm soil, 2 things a garden bed simply can't give it. That's the productivity surprise. The next plant is the one you actively want a pot to imprison: mint. Most people don't struggle to grow mint. They struggle to stop it. Put mint in open ground and it doesn't stay put. It sends runners sideways underground, surfacing everywhere, strangling its neighbors until a small herb patch becomes a takeover of the whole bed. Gardeners spend years digging it back out. A pot ends the war before it starts. Contained, mint is no longer a threat. It's just a lush, generous, fast-recovering herb that shrugs off the odd missed watering and sits happily by the kitchen door for tea and cooking. The exact trait that makes mint a menace in the ground makes it a perfect container plant. You're not limiting it, you're aiming it. So the pot cage is mint. For the next one, the pot turns a miserable, muddy job into the best day of the growing year. Potatoes. Growing potatoes in the ground ends in a nervous, blind dig with a fork, and half the time you spear straight through one you couldn't see. In a bag or a bin, there's no digging at all. When the plants are done, you tip the whole container over and the potatoes tumble out clean and whole. Amish and old-time growers built barrels around exactly this, hilling soil up the stems so the plant kept setting new potatoes up the buried stem. Fresh container mix also sidesteps a lot of the soil-borne diseases that build up in a bed where potatoes have grown before, and grow bags drain hard, which the plant loves because wet ground rots tubers. Cleaner crop, no spearing, and harvest day feels like tipping out a piggy bank. 2 crops left, and the last 2 are the ones that convert people completely. Strawberries. A strawberry in the ground lives a hard life. It rests its fruit on wet soil where it rots underneath, gets splashed with mud in every rain, and gets found by slugs and passing animals before you do. Then it throws runners and sprawls across the bed until tidying it becomes a second job. Lift all of that into a pot, a hanging basket, or a strawberry tower, and every one of those problems disappears at once. The berries hang in the open air, clean and dry and off the ground, out of easy reach of slugs, at a comfortable height where you're not bent double to pick them. The runners stay contained instead of colonizing the garden. It's such a clear upgrade that a lot of people who grow strawberries in pots once never plant them in the ground again. And then there's the one crop that seems purpose-built for a container. Basil. If a single plant was designed for pot life, it's basil. Basil wants 2 things above all: warm roots and soil that drains fast, and a garden bed, especially a heavy one after rain, gives it the opposite: cold, wet feet, which basil answers with disease, stress, and sulking. A pot delivers exactly what it's begging for. Fast drainage so the roots never sit soggy, quick warming so they stay cozy, and warm, happy basil turns wildly productive. Keep it by the kitchen and pinch it often, and here's the trick that makes it endless. The more you harvest from the top, the bushier it grows, because pinching the tips forces it to branch instead of running to flower. One plant, picked regularly, can feed you for months. So look at what these 7 have in common, because it's the whole point. Straighter carrots from soil you controlled. Lettuce you walked out of the heat. Radishes that swelled fast in loose soil. Peppers that fruited harder because you boxed their roots. Mint you caged, potatoes you tipped out instead of dug, strawberries lifted clean off the mud, basil kept warm and dry. Not one of those wins came from more space. Every single one came from more control. That's the thing the big garden bed can't sell you, and the humble pot gives you for free. The lie was always that bigger is better. For a huge number of crops, better just means the right conditions, in a container small enough to pick up and carry. So tell me, which vegetable has let you down worst in the ground? The forked carrots, the bolted lettuce, the speared potatoes? Drop it in the comments and I'll tell you whether a pot fixes it. And if you've moved a crop from the bed into a container and watched it suddenly take off, name it below. Those are the ones I want to test head to head in a future episode.